All right, let's begin. It's 9. I hope you guys can see the screen. Let me just check. Yeah, I think it's working. All right, cool. So thanks for attending the Blazor.net resume workshop. I know it's the Sunday night, right? So yeah. Anyways, I'm Vendic. I'm your host today. I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, beta level. There are 4 levels for Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So I'm more like the 3rd level of it. Yep. So eventually what we'll do today, you can see is deploy as well. If I can cover the deployment today, if the time allows, then I will cover it as well. So for you guys to see, this is what we will be building today, where you can see about you educations, skills, and also careers. So these are all built in .NET and it's deployed on Azure. Okay, and this is the local host. Cool. So before moving into the technical part, I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what is the theory on well, .NET Blazor, and also how does .NET works and what is the components that we will touch today. Okay, so today's plan is we will be using .NET Blazor, which I would say is a more modern way of developing .NET, because Blazor is a framework that supports .NET further in terms of how it is being built in the architecture and also how the UI looks. Yep. And also the next things, we will define a JSON file, which will somewhat represent our data. Let me just admit some people in. Okay. Right, which will represent our data and render it onto our front end, which is a view, and then integrate the both of it and show it as a application, as what I shown just now. Okay, so now we are going to step further into MVC. So MVC itself is the concept of having model, view, and controller, which in this slide itself is saying each of it is a components. Okay, so model as it defined is how you structure an item in your website or your application. So model itself, for example, if I'm doing a pet store, maybe I have a pet model, right? And then view, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Is your UI, user interface, what user can see. And controller is how the logic works, which represents events here. Okay, so that is the base concept of how .NET is being structured and how you can understand .NET when you are developing it, because it's an MVC structure. Let me see who is unmuted. Okay, right. So with that being said, this is the full architectural principles, where what we will be doing today, we are going to render like data like skills, experience, educations, right? So it will render onto the component and the skill will be added as an event onto the user interface. We will dive deeper later, so don't worry if you don't understand at this point. Okay, so now let's begin with the setup. Okay, I can't assume everyone has .NET, so let's install .NET. Okay, let me move this. So .NET CLI installation for whoever that wanted to follow along. Okay. Let's see. Install CLI. Yeah, I think the first one was .NET install .NET. Yeah. Yeah, share the link across as well. Of course, if you are using Visual Studio, it comes with it, but for this case, I will do it in a CLI way. Yeah, install the SDK. Not sure why they don't have a direct link for you to see everything. I think you can install through this link. Okay. And then is there any, yeah, you need to install .NET. Yeah. So if you are using Homebrew on Mac, right? You can just go with brew install .NET. Okay, if you are using Mac. If you are using Windows, I think this should work. This is the link. Okay. Cool. I will give you guys a couple 2 minutes or 1 minute plus to set that things up. But eventually now what we are doing is we wanted to install the .NET CLI, which is somewhat is a SDK that we will set up our new project. So just to check that once you install, you just run this .NET dash version to check whether you have a version. If that it shows some numbers, that means you have it. Okay. So let me just show this here. Okay. And if you are using Mac, then we'll install .NET. If you are using Windows, you can use this link. Right. So I'll give you guys until 9:06, and for whoever that wanted to follow along. If you just want to see the demo, see how things works, then yeah, you can just relax as of now. Cool. Oh, it's 9:06 already. Anyone that wanted to follow along haven't installed .NET? Maybe you can raise your hand so I can know. I can give you guys some time to set that up. I think there's no hand raise. I assume everyone has .NET on your laptop. Oh, that's one. Okay. So I think I will give you like 1 minute plus to set that. 9:07 or 9:08. Yeah. Yep. Take your time. Take your time. So you need to set up .NET. Then after that is done, most likely for the configurations part, we wouldn't need to touch anything more, unless you wanted to follow along the deployment later, or because the whole workshop today will be recorded. So if you want to try the deployment later on, that's even better, due to the fact that if you wanted to apply for the student credits in Azure, that might take times. Yeah. Any specific template we using on Azure? What do you mean by that? Because what we will be deploying later is just a static web app. So template wise, not really. Okay, at the meantime, I'll just show you guys how does the deployment looks like. Okay, so we are going to use static web apps later, where this is my deployment. Okay, and then yeah, this is the URL that I shared just now. Yeah, you just need to connect to your GitHub, then everything works. Because static web apps is just for like UI display. You don't even need to deploy a backend or a server to run. So everything is good. Yeah. So anyone still need time for the installation? You can show me a hand raise. Can I download .NET 8.0? Yes, .NET 8.0. That's the latest one. Okay, Iman, cool. I think the installation might take times. If 9:09 we still can't proceed, I guess I will explain the theory first. Then once that is done, I think your installation is also done as well. Yeah. Okay. So it's .NET 8.0. If you are using Mac, I would strongly recommend you to use Homebrew to install .NET. If you are using Windows, then you can use the link that I pasted just now, which if you can't see the history message, you can actually search for .NET installation on Windows. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's wait until 9:09 to see if everything is good for the ones that wanted to follow along. Anyhow, if at the meantime, if you guys have any questions or during the workshops when it's going, if you have any questions, just pin it in the chat or you can unmute so I can answer directly. Yeah, it's a chilling sessions, I would say. Okay, 9:09. Iman, do you need more time or the others need more time for the setup? It's not set up yet for the .NET. Okay, I can see a hand raise if anyone still need time. I guess the setup is good. Okay. Anyhow, let's continue the theory itself, right? So I think I will run this after I explain everything. Okay. So once you create this is a CLI command for you to create a .NET app, and new is eventually creating a new one. Then this is specifying what kind of .NET structure that you want. At this case, we are using Blazor WASM, but if you want to see more, okay, let me just show you. Because .NET is just one of the way that you can code .NET application, like Blazor. Blazor is one of the way, which is a newer way, but there are a lot, right? If you are doing a console app, like just CLI, then you can go with .NET News Console with the project name and class libraries and a lot more, which in this case today, we will be using Blazor WebAssembly, okay? So that is the explanation to this, and this is the app name, okay? Right, we will run this later. Let's go with the theory first so you guys know what we will touch later, okay? So today we'll be focusing on the pages folder, the shared folder, and the www root, okay? So let me just show you in the code what does all of this are. So pages, I think it's pretty easy to understand. Is how and where you should place your page, okay? In my case, I will have my about us, as you can see here, right? No, not about us, about me. Yeah, about me, and also a career page, which I call it as career, okay? And then www root is where you can specify your CSS, and you can even put your JSON serving as a client-side data, okay? And of course, all of those images, like static images, you can place it here as well. And the shared, what's the shared? I think we wouldn't touch that today. Yeah, because shared, I guess I bunch it out as a layout. So layout itself is something that you will keep on reuse. That's why in the slide itself it shows that, but I think the newer version is being displayed as layout. So main layout is the main structure, how your whole application will look like, where you will swap the contents eventually. So this full structure is reusable, and you just swap the items inside. That's the idea of how main layout and also nav menu, right? You can see if I go to about me, I will see the same nav menu, and if I go to career, I will see the same one. So it's reusable. You don't need to code it again, right? So that's the whole concept of the layout. Okay, and now we are going to talk into the component wise. Okay, so looking into details of the code, right? If you run this command just now, or we will run later, okay, you can go into the pages and let me show you. Okay, pages, and you see this is eventually how does the code looks like, right? It has a page with a route. So in this case, I'm saying that, okay, my about is supposed to be a slash, okay? That's basically what I'm telling the code. This is the path of your web application. And if I'm going to go with the career, you can see in my career app, career page, I specify it as a career path. Okay, so this is the first section, which is on the path. And then how do we do dynamic values in the page? Okay, so just to show you, you see this add name, this is dynamically render, where I specify a variable to render it according to the variable. And of course, if you wanted to make it change from time to time, you can make that fancy, right? So in this case, it will, you can update the name, and the name can change by time. Okay, if you understand how does variable works, because variable is just a container for you to store values, right? So in this case, you are using that changeable value, render it onto your website. Okay, and of course, there's an on-click function here, which I already removed the default page because this counter page is not relevant to what we will be doing today. And anyways, this add-on click is, if you understand how HTML works, like when you click a button or when you drag something, it always refers to a function that is specified to a tag. Like in this case, this button is clickable, and when you click it, it will trigger this function, which is called increment count. And this function is specified here, right? What increment count will do, it will just keep on adding 1 to the current count. Okay, so this is a glimpse of how .NET code works. You can have everything like the logics, you can have the structure HTML, you can have your routing, everything done in one page, right? So this is how Blazor WebAssembly standalone application structure, which is easy to understand and easy to code as well, right? So today, how does our application looks like? We have the navigation bar, and I kind of changed the structure a bit because I wanted to do it in different path. Okay, so in that case, our structure will be a nav menu. We have a about me, and we have education, and we have skills, and of course we have another page that shows the career experience. Okay, cool. And then the next things that we will look into is the navigation bar. Okay, let me just show you how does the code looks like. Right, as I said, you can have everything in one file, right? So the nav menu, it will have your structure, your HTML structure, and it have the code logic as well. Okay, so to specify each of the items here, okay, you can see the code here. I have a div for each of division for each of the navigation links that is displayed. And to make the link able to click and route to the specific path, you need to use this, which is called nav link. And the class, of course, the class, you can see it in this CSS file, which is the styling. How does the design looks like, right? And then href is empty here because this is going to go back to the base, right? Without any path. And this is going to the career. So you can see here, the href is going career, and this is going to nothing. All right. And of course, this is where the values are. And the things in front here is the icons. Okay. It's been, I would say it's been done in a span, but with these classes, it's able to convert it into a icon. Okay, right. So this is how you can work with the navigations on the page. And then the next things is the resume content. Okay, the component itself, we same thing. Okay, the path, like what I just explained, and the page title, which is what you can see here, right? The page title. So yeah, I specify both as vending, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, both as vending. So if let's say I change this to like career, it should reflect directly. Yeah, I should run .NET wash, but it's fine. Okay, let's just run it up. Yeah, you can see now it's career, right? Okay, I think because now we are going to touch the code already, I hope everyone already set up the items that is required. I'm using VS Code. Extension itself, not really. You really need to download the .NET CLI, okay? But if you wanted to use extension, right, I think most likely it's just the IntelliSense, like the one that make it colorful and easy to read. But maybe you can try this. Maybe you can try this. And let me just share the link across. Let's copy. I hope this works. Okay. Oh, so long. All right, cool. Okay, so maybe you can try this. But anyways, for whoever that's following along or you wanted to see recordings later, you just want to see how does the things work now, I will go with the .NET CLI. So let's go with CD. You don't need to follow along for now because I'm just changing my directory, meaning that I'm changing my folders that I'm using. Okay, so I'm using a developer folder and let's create the application. So .NET new and Blazor WASM, which specify the structure that we are using, and then -o to specify our app name. So in this case, let's name it .NET Resume. Okay, I'll just copy this along as well. All right. So enter. Now you create a bunch and it's pretty quick. Okay. So with that being said, now you can open the application that you are doing in your Visual Studio Code. And of course, you can use the easier way, which is how you open your VS Code, then you open the folder, or you can follow along my CLI ways. Yeah. But you need to install the code CLI, like the Visual Studio Code CLI inside of your local environment, which is your laptop. Okay. So this is how the code structure looks like. Okay. You see there are no data and there are sample data, but yeah. So there are pages which we will be touching later and the layout. Okay. So just to make everyone align in the same page, I will just run my application. So this will be what you are getting. Okay. So you have a home, you have a counter, you can click it, you can see it's keep on adding, and that's a weather page. Yeah. All right. For the one that is following along, do everyone has the same page or you are stuck somewhere? You can give a hand raise if you need some help, or you can just text it in the chat, right? Okay, seems to be good. Everything seems to be okay. No one is raising their hand. Okay, cool. Right, so now with this being said, first thing we are going to change our nav menu, right? So as we see here, we have about and a career page. So let's change that. Yeah, put this side by side. Yeah, I have a lot of tabs opening. Yeah. Okay, let me just move this maybe here. And this is the page. So now go into your nav menu.blazor inside of your layout folder. Okay, you can see now you have 3 nav link, right? I want you to remove the last one. Means that from this div to the end of div and inside there's one nav link. Okay, and make it bigger. Okay, so from this div to that div, inside this has the nav link. So I remove this, and we are going to change this counter to career. Also the href to career. Okay. And now I refresh, it wouldn't reflect because let's run another comment to run it. Because if we use .NET run means that it will just build once. It will just compile our code once, right? If we use .NET watch, it will keep on watching our actions, like if we save anything or is anything updated there. So it's easier for us when we are developing. Okay, cool. So now you have a home and a career page that does not exist yet. All right. Okay. Anyone need help? No? Okay. Cool. Right, cool. So now we have the home and the career page, and we wanted to remove this about. Okay. So let's head into main layout, and the about is here. I can see here in the main layout, there's a main sections with a div and another article, which this article will show our body, and then we will remove this one. Okay. The div that contains a anchor tag with about. So this is not useful for us. So once we save it, you see now I'm using .NET Watch, I can just see the result directly, right? Okay. So now we have the main layout done, we have the nav menu done, and what's next, right? So next we have a home, and let's create another page called career.blazor. Right. Nothing changed yet because there's nothing in the content as well, and it's just an empty file. Okay, so what I want you to do, let's head to, I think I can grab, yeah, let's grab this. Let's head to homepage, home.blazor. get everything there. So Control A to highlight everything, or you can just pull it out, right? So you copy and let's paste it into the career. Let's specify it with a slash career. And to see there are actually changes, I just put the page title as career and the hello world to hello career, I guess. Okay. So now once you save that, you can see your career is clickable. Oops. Wait. Do you want to restart your app? Yes. Okay. Let it run again, and yeah, you can see now we have the slash career page. Okay, if you get the message on do you want to restart your app, just put a yes or put a Y, then it will rebuild it. All right. Cool. So we have a home and we have a career page. Now it's time for us to specify what is the data that we want to render on the page. So let's do a folder called data inside of your www root, right? Data. And inside of the folder, we name it resume.json, right? So this will be your main source of your data, right? And to show you how it will look like in the end when we build everything. Okay, this is how it looks like. So you can see I have the about and the experiences, right? I have the educations and the skills. So how does everything render? You can see this about, I put a software developer and community builder. So when I head back here, I can see that my about is displayed here, right? And then my educations, I only put my bachelor, which is here, and skills, HTML, CSS, right? Which you can see here, right? So this is what we will be doing now. All right. So as a JSON format, always start with a curly brackets. And inside of the curly brackets, the first thing that we want is about. Okay. So now you just put your title or what you want people to know, like the first glimpse of everyone knowing you, you are saying that, hey, I'm a software developer, or hey, I'm a data engineer, right? So this about maybe let's make it fun, like a meme creator, right? Okay, so this is my about. And now after the about, let's put some experience. Okay, so in JSON, key value format as usual. Okay, and this will be different. It wouldn't be a string like you see this about to a main creator, but this, because it will be multiple if you have multiple, right? So we need to put a square bracket, which is equivalent to array. Array means that you can put a list of items, right? Like you have item 1, item 2, item 3. So that's how it works. And inside of experience, another curly brackets to identify that this is one item. Okay. If I have 2 items, then 2 curly brackets. If I have 3 items, then 3. Right. So in this case, I think I will go with 2. Right. And experience, what do we want? Let me just check the structure so it's easier. Experience, company name, title, turner, and description. All right. So let's go with a company name. Maybe if you want to put like Asia Pacific University as your maybe you are working as a part-timer, right? Normally experiences, I will put all of those things that I'm working as a career instead of things that I'm holding position as a volunteering, like Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I will put that in volunteering sections. So I would say that is my practice, but everyone practice is different, right? So cool. So my first company, let's say I'm working in I was in APU. I was in APU, the CTI department. So yeah, maybe I can put that Asia Pacific University as the company name. Then the title, I'm working as a Atlassian administrator. Okay. And of course, the next thing is Turner. So how long have you been working in that position previously, or you are still working in? So for example, my case, maybe I put like March 2022 to, how long did I work there? I think it's 2021. 2021 to March 2023, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So after Turner, then what's that? Can play something. Oh, description. Okay. So it's always good to have a description on mentioning what is this position doing. So when the HR is like headhunters or HR is reviewing your portfolio, it can know that, oh, you are working in this position, like business analyst. Like business analyst is very wide. So the HR might not know what specifically you are working as that position in the company, right? So in this case, you can explain it better, right? So description, assistant administrator, I am working in configurations of Jira and Confluence technical technical documentations. Okay, so this is one of the items of your experiences. And then now we will proceed with doing another one. Okay, so you can just go with Option Shift up down for Mac to duplicate the whole thing. And for Windows, I recall it's ALT, alternate Shift up and down to duplicate that if I'm not wrong. Okay, so once you have that, the second one, yeah, I just put some random one because I'm a bit lazy to think of it. Okay, so let's say Figma maybe. Figma, I'm working as a cleaner, right? And maybe because this will be like a ascending order, so you want the most recent one to stay on top. Like for example, here you can see I have the recent one stay on top, and the second recent one will stay the next one, and the next. It continue the list if you have a lot, right? So maybe cleaner. Maybe I work from 2020 to 2021, and healthy check. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. So you have your experiences being set as this, right? And then after that, we still have the skills, and we still have what's that? Education. Okay. So let's do education. Education. And it's a list as well. It's an array. Another object. Let's specify the education as faculty. Maybe Asia Pacific University. And then let's say course, right? And please be mindful on the casing, because this will affect how things work later. You might face bugs if your casing is different. Okay, so yeah, be mindful of that. Cool. So the course, maybe degree in software engineering. And if you have multiple, and for example, if you wanted to put your diploma or foundation, then you can have another list, not another item. So I duplicate it, and yeah, I did my diploma in APU, so diploma in data informatics. Yeah. Okay. So now you have your education as a list, and also you have your experiences as a list. Right. So our last item today, which is, I mean, last item in the resume JSON as your data, right, is skills. Cool. So skills, same thing, array, and the object. Maybe you put like name. For example, now I'm doing .NET, right? So .NET, and then with, what did I place here? Oh, 5, excellent. Maybe put a score with a 5, excellent. Right. And then the next things, one more item for the skill. And let's put like Blazor, maybe 4, if good. Okay. So you can play along with the values that you want. And this is supposed to be the structure. So experience is a list, education is a list, skills is a list, and about is a string. Okay, right. Okay, let me know if you guys still need time on filling this up. I can allow a few minutes for you guys to do it. Oops. Yeah. So you can give a hand raise if you need time to set that up, or you faced any issues until now, like you need some help and stuff. I think it looks okay. Okay, cool. So the array is done. This will be our data today that we will fetch on the client side. And then now we will be structuring our user interface, which is on views and pages. Okay. So our cover page, let me just get a glimpse of how things works there. Okay. So the above is my home page. Okay, let's just click on, maybe I pull this here so it's easier. All right. So the page title, as I mentioned, we wanted to make it, we go to home, okay? So the page title I mentioned, we wanted to make the things like the page title, everything more dynamic, which interchangeable. So I want you to go to the end of the file and put add code, yeah. Okay, so add code. And then let me just check. Okay, cool. So curly brackets. And the first one, we will declare a string which will store our name. Let's put page name. So it's easier to understand, right? So page name, you will need to name this, right? Now it's home. Okay, as you can see, it's home now. So let's just put it your name, or you can just put like portfolio if you don't want to put your name, right? So yeah, I haven't done. Okay, yeah. So you need to close it with semicolon. I think it's semicolon. Yeah. So after you have this, we will change this home with add page name. So now when you save it, you can see the home. Yeah, I need to. Do you want to restart? Yes. And you can see now it will change to portfolio, right? Okay. So now you have a dynamic items here, and we are going to put page 1, which is your heading title, right? Your first title, biggest title, right? We will put the, I think we can declare another one. In case you didn't put the page name as your name. So let's just declare another variable called string, like that is declare as name, and the type is string, and your name. Okay, in my case, I will just put pending. Okay, and then now when I do this, I refresh this, and then we should see the name here. Is it running? Yeah, there you go. Okay, right, cool. And with the data that we already done just now, we are going to fit it inside of here. So how does that work, right? I'll just show you how the codes work here. So you can see now we, in this code that is done, right? I am declaring a resume variable with the type of resume model. Okay, because it's the MVC, so you need to declare a model to handle how the data flows within your application. And with that models, you can play around once you get the data. So with this resume model, I will have a get and a set request, right? And then this will be done. Okay, so let me just copy this there, but it will cause error, definitely, because we haven't do any models, right? So let me just code it one by one for you guys to follow along as well. Right, so public, this is how you declare the scope of the variable, how your variable will be accessed, right? And then we'll call it a resume model, which is not exist in our app yet, and make it resume with a get curly brackets, get a semicolon, stat semicolon, right? So now you have your resume variable that will be used inside of the app, and we will declare a protected scope functions that will override, okay, override as thing task. Okay, so what does this mean is meaning that we have a protected scope that will only be accessed by the parent of this no, a parent class, or I would say parent page of this home page, and it wouldn't be accessed by other things outside of it. And override means that because by default this on initialize as seen, right? This function is already exists, right? So now this on initialize as seen is a function that will run when your page is load. So now we need to override how the page will load to ensure that in that process we can get our resume data, right? So when the page is load, it will fetch our resume data from the JSON, and we can use the value on our page. Okay, so that's the logic of it, right? So resume equals await, and async await, in case anyone don't know about it, is asynchronous process, means that it's parallel process. So when you are running this page, right, it will run this function at the same time. So you wouldn't wait until the page is done load and you only run the function. It will be slow, right? So if you do in that case without a async, right, you can assume that when I load this page, the content is not there yet. I need to wait a few seconds or a few minutes to make it there. So that is why we need async and await here. Okay, this is like a package. Okay, so HTTP get from JSON async with the type of resume model. Okay, and then specify where is the file. Okay, so it's in the data folder and it's called resume.json. All right, so now you should have this, but don't save first because it will crash your whole application. But you should have this. Okay, maybe I can paste it in the chat so it's easier for you guys. Okay, there you go. All right, so now you can see just now when we are typing HTTP and task, it doesn't shows like IntelliSense, means that it doesn't recommend us some actions to it because we actually need to use this. Okay, let me just copy this here, and you can type it along. So what does this means, right? Using is basically how, if you know Python or if you know JavaScript, right, Node.js, you always use import, right? When you are importing some external SDK or importing the default SDK, like if you're doing VAdd or something, you will import VAdd, right? So in .NET, how you import a package is using. So this types is actually a package, and this inject is we are getting some SDK, but HTTP client it works differently. So it needs to be done in a inject way, which it kind of works like a, you can understand it like a decorator, right? So this is how you import, and this is how you inject the HTTP client, so it can fetch the data. But it's not done yet because we haven't do our models. And in our case, most likely we'll be doing multiple models because we need an experience model, we need a skill model, we need what's that? Education model. Yes. And resume the model will be the base of everything that covers everything. Okay. So let me show you how does the models look like in the done codes. Let me just find for it. I think it's these types. Yeah. Okay. So in these pages, okay, let's call a common. Okay, common folder. This is where we will specify all of our models. So that's why we are importing types here. Okay, so types.cs or types.Blazor. Let me check. Yeah, types.cs. Because types.Blazor, it will be understand as a Blazor front-end code. And CS, as you know, .NET is being coded in C#, right? So CS is the name of the extension of the file. Okay, so let me just copy the whole thing, and I will code along one by one for you guys. So now we are going to specify a namespace of types, right? This is the first thing that will serve as the base how we actually recognize when you are using types. Okay, so this namespace is very important. So after the namespace, we'll declare our first model here, which is a resume model. Okay, so this resume model will be getting, it's the base of us getting the resume.json value. And as you can see here, right, it has the about, it has the experiences, the education, which is actually how we structure our JSON, right? So now we are just converting it into a C# format. So public class resume models and public string, because the about is a string. The reason why we need a question mark is, you know, sometimes you might miss out, or sometimes when you are fetching data from external API that is hosted somewhere, right? It might not has the value about. So with this question mark is actually saying that, hey, this is optional, but if there are values, please place it in. Okay, so that's how it is being understand. Okay, so of course we need a get and set as well, which getters and setters, right? Okay, so getters is getting data, settings is modifying or placing data, placing values to it. Okay, so the next thing, once after we have this string, we are going to declare a list of experience model. Okay, experience model, and of course the question mark and experiences. And of course with a get and a set. Let's make it easier to read. Okay. All right. So now you have your experience models, and we can duplicate this because the next items is similar. We just need to change the experience to education and this to educations. Right. And then the next thing, which is skills. All right. Skills, skill model and skills. Okay. So now you have your base class that will be fetching everything, right? So I hope you guys have this as well. Let me just copy paste to there so it's easier. Okay. Or actually I can just copy paste everything for you guys so it's easier, but I will explain it, right? So this is the next part of the whole code after this resume model. Okay. So each of the item, as you can see, right? Oh yeah, we need to change because I changed the variables. So like the experience model that we have just now, we have company name, we have Turner, we have description, we have title. But in education, we need to fix it to what we have here, which is faculty and course. So let's change the first one to course. And then we need a string that actually has a faculty. So just some minor changes that we need. Okay, education model, course and faculty, and then the skill model, which has a name and score. So let's just do that name. And oh, in my previous code, I actually split the estimated level and the estimated description. But as long as it works, it works. Right? That's how coders think. So, and of course you need to optimize your codes in a sense. Okay, so now we change the education model and the skill model to the respective values that we have here, like the faculty and the course and name and the score. So this is supposed to be what you have. Let me just copy the whole thing and place it for you guys to use. Okay. So this will be how we are going to control our data within the application, right? So now, once this is done, we can actually refresh the page on the home. Okay. So actually, do you want to restart your app? We can just go with the always or A. So I don't need to go with yes every time. Right, let's just refresh. It wouldn't reflect anything yet. It wouldn't be different yet because the front end is not rendered yet. But now we actually already retrieved the data. So just to show you that the things is here. And let me just get the code right. Okay. So the first thing, we can go with the about section, right? The about section that renders the name. And this will actually check that this second part is saying that if the resume is fetched but then it's nothing, it's null, it wouldn't show the about. Okay. So if there are something in the resume, it will show the about. I will just copy this for you guys on the home. All right. So now when you refresh your page, you should see your about. Yeah. So about me, right? I'm a meme creator. Yeah. And of course you can remove the H1 that we have previously. Just to make it nicer, or you prefer it to be there, then you can keep it as it's there. Okay. So in my case, I remove. You can see this one about and I'm meme creator, which is equivalent to what we have here. Right? And the next part is we are going to do some follow-up rendering. It might be a bit complicated for people who are new, but you can understand it throughout the way. Because as you can see, right, this is just an if statement, like how you normally code. It's just an if statement to see whether you should conditional render your items onto the page. Okay. And then the next thing, we are going to do a for loop statement that will render the items as a loop. So in this case, right, you can see these things are actually rendered as a loop. So I don't need to put it like multiple like one div, second div, but I can just for loop with a same div. Let me just show you the code so you can understand it easier. Okay. We will change a lot of things because I'm thinking, should I actually put these components for you guys? I think we can cover. So you guys can understand how reusable component works. Okay, so let me just show you what do I mean on the for loop, right? So the first section after about, we have education. Okay, and it will still check whether the resume is empty. And the second thing it will check is whether the education is empty. If it is empty, then don't render anything. But if it is something there, we will run a for loop, for each of the education model inside of resume.educations, render this education component, which is not there yet because we haven't do the reusable components. Okay, so reusable components can understand like our net menu, right? So if we are going with different pages, it will still be using the same code. So in this case, you wouldn't see that I need to write the same nav menu in home.blazor and the same nav menu in Career. So that's how things works. Okay, right. So now, let me just copy the whole chunk of code for you guys. Okay, so you have the education and the skills, which is rendered as a for loop, but it's not working yet. It will cause error as well. Yeah, because we haven't do the reusable values. All right. So this is what you need to place before your code logic and after your about section, right? Okay, I think this should be fast. Okay, and then is the page too fast if or everything is good? If you think it's good, then maybe you can give me a reactions, or else I will make it slightly slower. Yeah, everything okay? A bit fast. Okay, but is are you stuck anywhere? Like any part you already miss out? All good. I hope so. Okay, I will keep it slower then. All right. So now we have the home and the about section, educations, and we have the skills. Okay, so now I save it. It will cause error most likely, or it wouldn't render anything for that part. Yeah. So it will just looks like this. Okay, because we haven't declared the education and the skill. So now what I want you guys to do is inside of the home folder, we declare a components folder. Components, yeah. Okay, components folder. And then the first thing that we want to do is education.blazor. Okay. And we need to apply a CSS file to it. So we just call it as education.css, right? And same thing applies to skill and career later, but in our case, we already call this career, so let's call it experience. Yeah. Okay, so skill.razor and skill.css, and then education skill experience. Experience.css, experience.razor. Okay. So now when this is done, you should have the education.css, you have the education.razor, experience.css and experience.razor, and skill.css and skill.razor. Actually, we can remove the counter.razor already because we are not using it anymore. And we can remove the weather.razor as well. And of course, we can delete the sample data folder in www root. Because just now the weather page is actually referring to the data on the sample data here. Okay, so let's just remove all this that is not usable for our workshops. Okay, so I hope everyone already has this skill, education, experience. And then now we are going to do it like the reusable component. Okay, so just to save time so I can show you guys how to deploy, I'll just give you guys a code immediately. So the first thing you can see here, we are using the types, which is the component, okay? And then the namespace is resume.net, but in our case, I think because I call the application as .net resume, so it's supposed to be .net resume. Let me just change it along and explain it along as well. I think it's education, right? Yeah, education. Okay. So what does this word is we are specifying that hey, we are still in this is a component that is being used in this specific application. So that's why you need a namespace .NET resume. And this second part, as you can see here, is going to pass in a parameter of a data. So in that case, you recall when we are doing this, it's a for loop, right? And it pass in the data of each of the education model. So with each of it, it will actually render into a div with the name, and I don't think we have degree type. So education, we have, oh yeah, we have the faculty. So faculty and a description. Let me just check it, whether it's there. Resume.json. So we have faculty. Oh, and a course. Yeah, course. Okay. Education, faculty, and a course. So let me just put this to the chat. Cannot run .NET run. Means that your setup is having issues. Yeah. Your CLI itself is not there. But when you are running .NET dash version, does anything appear? This. Or you might be in another folder, so it can't find for. Maybe you can share me a screenshot of how does it look like. Yeah. So this is what you need to place in the education Blazor. Okay. And then the education.css, I don't think I placed any. Oh yeah, I got do a bit of styling. Oh yeah, because it's I think it should be fine, because it's new. Because previously, right, when you look at this code, previously it's actually if you wanted to specify the CSS to each of the Blazor, you actually need to put like a .css, like .blazor.css to specify it to each of it. But in this case, I think nowadays is newer, so a lot of things change. Like previously they are shared, but now they branch it out as a layout, so it's easier to understand as well, right? So this is what you need to put in the education.css. Damon, if it still can't run, let me see. Couldn't find a project to run. Ensure the project exists in. Okay. Prototype. I'll pass the project. If you try .NET Run, I assume your project name is called .NET Resume. So if you try this, .NET Run -- project .NET Resume, see does it work? And this education class, this styling, supposed to put in your education.css. Okay. And the similar things happen for experience and also skills. So I think I will skip the explanation because it's just the same code, right? But of course the parameter needs to change because our structure is different. So let me just change first and send it forward to you guys. So the namespace supposed to change to .NET Resume, and then skill itself. What did I put? I put name. I put a score. Yeah, I put a score. So I put a name. I put a score, and then this is it. So let me just place this there. Does it work, Damon? And the CSS as well. Place it in the CSS file. Experience. It's an experience. Experience.css. Just throw this gear to you guys. So this is in skill.css. And experience. This is in experience.css. Build field. Oh yeah, your override. It can recognize your project now. So it's a good news, but your code is having issue. So you see right in the override, I think it's potato override. Let me check. Override is not a valid item. Can you check the code in your home.blazor? The async is causing. Yeah, maybe. Do you have the async? You don't have? It needs to be there. Or else it wouldn't work. Yeah. It's okay. Let me just get the code in experience. Experience, I don't think I changed anything. So it's supposed to be a title, yeah, Turner. So experience.blazor. Oops, sorry. Let's get this. Okay. Paste and .NET resume. Let's copy this and paste it to you guys. Okay. So once this is done, if we refresh the page, oh, the education is not there because it's okay. Is everyone at the same page that I have now? Means that your education is being done, like your experience.blazor is done, skill.blazor is done. Everything is good? Everything is good? Already has that done. I can't see any reactions. I assume it's fine. I assume it's fine. But if you guys need any help, just pin it in the chat, okay? Right. So with that being said, now why the education is not there? It's because in our resume.json, recall that I mentioned that the casing and the how you write is very important. And you recall in our models, we actually call it as educations with a S, but in our JSON, we don't have. So what we need to change here is we just need to change the education with a S. And with that, it's done. Refresh it. Oh, let me check. Okay, education.blazor.net resume, education model data.faculty data.course. Let me see, faculty, course, educations, home, education model, resume.educations. Seems to be fine. Seems to be fine. Huh. Let me rerun and see. Okay, just in case. This is funny. Yeah, it's not there. Let me check it in a glimpse of why things are not happening. First, I will check. This is normally how I debug. So I will find whether it renders anything. In this case, no, nothing. So means that the code is having issues. So what I will do, I will go into type.cs file to see whether the experience is there. Oh wait, education. So I have a course and a faculty. It seems to be correct. I have a course and faculty, and when I come to here, it's finding for the course and the faculty, which is correct as well. So I go back JSON, educations, faculty, and the course. This is weird. Okay, anyhow, let's do the career page first. Okay, we'll get back to that later. All right, so I just copy the whole thing here. It's supposed to be the same. I'll try first, then I will paste it. So the logic is the same. We have a dynamic name on top, and also how we put the about, right? And then experiences, where we render each of the reusable experience. And of course, we call the onInitialize. So when we load the page, it will fetch the data. Okay, so let me just get this happen. Oh, the education is bad. I'm not sure what happened just now. Maybe it's because of some memory glitch, I assume. So when I run this, it's supposed to run my career. Let me see. Connecting to browser is slow. Let me run it again. If it's working, then I will paste this code to you guys. Yeah, it's working. Great. So now, this is what you need to put in your career page. And that's a glimpse of how things works in Blazor with .NET It's pretty easy. And in year 3, you will have a module. If you are in software engineering, I'm not sure for other specialization, there's a module that requires you to build in Blazor. Yeah, so no, build in .NET. So with this, you will get a glimpse of how Blazor and .NET works. Okay, so now everything is kind of done for the code. We will be doing deployment. So for anyone that wanted to follow along later on, or you already have a Azure account, I think without the credit should be fine, because by like default, when you have an Azure account, you are having free 10 hosting web apps that you can host. So there are 10 limits where you can host your static web apps. So you just need to go to portal.azure.com, log in. Okay, you can see this is my TP email, and then click on the static web apps and click on create. Okay, so we will have the recording. So in case you want to do it later on, or you just want to see how things work and in the future you want to do it, it's fine as well. Okay, so that's not done yet, because we actually need to put our code to the GitHub. So in that case, we can actually deploy it. In my case, I think I will push it to the same branch that I have, which is on, let me find, ODB, AWS, Teams integration. Yeah, I haven't prepared the content. Okay, .NET resume. Okay. So this is where I have the code. If you want to see the end code, you can see it here as well. What happened? Okay, let me just paste it here. And to show the deployment, I will just push it quickly onto GitHub, right? So git init, initialize, then git remote at origin, okay, with this, and then git add dot. These are some git comments. It's something very important to know if you are still furthering your career inside of tech on the development end, no matter you are in data or anything, right? If you are on the consulting end, then this is kind of optional, but it depends on company. Okay, so you really need to master Git. Okay, so git add, then git commit. I do a commit message with uploads July 21/07 port on workshop. Okay, and then what I will do, I will change my branch to test maybe. Okay, so git push origin test, and now it should be there for me. Okay, let me just refresh. Let's see, is it there yet? Yeah, you can see now test is there, and I can actually go to test, and this is where is the code that we have today. So once that is done, now we will go back here. Okay, I think I can refresh, because just in case it can't detect that. Okay, so you need to create a resource group if you don't have, but in my case, I already created one. And then resource group is basically meaning that because as you know, for each of the Azure, you actually need to pay if you don't have any credits, if you don't have any like student subscription and stuff, which this will be like, this is your subscription, okay? And this resource group will be the one where you want to host your items in. So for whoever that is in that resource group, it will get the same access as the one. If you are not in the resource group, you can't get access to modify anything in that. For example, in this case, I'm hosting these static web apps in this specific resource group. So meaning that for people that are in .NET Cloud CI be a lecturer, okay, so you wouldn't get access to anything that is in .NET Resume group. This some I'm just giving some context on cloud computing and how you can work on the security aspect of Azure Cloud. Okay, and then name, let's make it .NET Resume Workshop. Okay, plan, of course, free or invalid characters. I think it's because of the space. Do this. Yeah, I think it's because of the space, but dash should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, let's go with dash. Okay, .NET Resume Workshop, and then source is GitHub. Of course, if you have your code in Azure DevOps, that's works as well, or you have a code on other platform, okay, then it will be in another options, right? So yeah, in my case, I'm in GitHub, and if you don't have any GitHub account link, it will have a button for you to link your GitHub accounts. So in my case, I link it to mine and host it on the organization, find for your repo, okay, and your branch which I pushed to test just now. Okay, and directly it will detect what is your deployment. You can see there are a lot of deployments that's available. Okay, then in this case I'm going to Blazor. Where's your app? App is in the same folder, so I don't need to change. And API location, we didn't do any API, so it's fine. So just put as it is, and the output is here. Okay, so now, if you just want to check everything is good, you can just preview the workflow file. So this is what happened in the DevOps developer operations. Okay, no, development operation, sorry. So meaning that it's called CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. Means that every time there are some new code changes, it will automatically deploy the items. That's what you can understand the basis of DevOps. Okay, so yeah, this is what it will runs every time I push my code. Okay, so now I will just go with review and create because I don't think we need to change anything. Okay, so now it's running the deployment. Okay, oh no, I still need to take a create. Yeah, so now it's running the deployment. You can see initializing deployment. You just need to wait a couple of seconds normally, but if your code is a bit like monolithic code, a very big structure, a lot of codes, then you might wait longer. Okay, so yeah, you see, that's it. Now, if I want to just show you guys what we have just now, right? Okay, this is the URL. I can click it as well. So now I paste it here, right? You guys can see as well. So yeah, your site will be ready soon. So means that the deployment is done, but the code still takes time to process to show it to the client, and which is a user to see. So I just need to wait for a while. Just refresh. Let's see, is it there? Yeah, I think okay. Thank you for using. We have not received any content, so still need to wait for a while. But that is basically how you can deploy static web apps on Azure, right? And it's free, right? Everyone wants free things, especially students. So yeah. So if you want to refer the code, you can go to my GitHub, like the code that I done today and the code that I done beforehand to ensure that everything goes smoothly. Okay. And if you want to see a deployment, this is how it looks like. And the recording, I will upload it to my YouTube channel. So I will paste it on Luma as well for you guys to see. So that's basically it for the whole .NET Blazor. And let me see, is there anything that I haven't explained in the slides? I think everything is fine. Yeah, everything is done directly on the hands-on, so you guys can see how things are worked rather than just seeing all these pictures, right? It's more useful. Okay, so in that case, thank you for attending. That's all for the .NET Blazor Me workshops, and we have a couple workshops coming up in soon, right? Like next Monday, we have another workshop on Microsoft Teams Connect with Node.js and many more. So if you are still interested to learn on Microsoft Text and so those specific topics, and you can register, and I have already placed all of the Teams link on the Luma page as well. So thanks for attending and hope to see you next time. Okay. Hope you learned something out of it. Let me just stop sharing and recording. Upload the slide as well. Yeah, sure. It's in my GitHub as well. Let me just share the link of the GitHub as well. Where can we